It's Dr. Manny from Break the Cage MD. I'm still on the couch. Here's an idea for you: cargo cult science, or we could say cargo cult medicine. The core concept of cargo cult, and I can't remember the specific island, but I think the British during World War II were flying planes to this island, and the island hadn't had any contact with the outside world up until then. It was like a couple centuries behind or whatever. And so the people from the island saw these planes coming out of the sky and these people coming out with them. And when they got there, they did a lot of religious conversion. They fed the people, um, provided them with, standard Western diet, diabetes type stuff. And when the British left after the war was over, the people were so blown away by the fact that the gods had sent food and these big flying birds with pale people in them because they'd never seen like white people before then, that they set up all these temples basically in the edge of the mountains. The people mastered all aspects of the flight signals. I'm trying to do this with both hands without making you motion sick. All aspects of flight symbols, like flight signals. They created these. They're not effigies because effigies are like a bad thing. These idols that like look like planes at an angle. I mean, they look a lot like planes, and they set up all these ceremonies, and they spent years and years doing the stuff that they had seen done, waiting for waiting for airplanes to come in with food from the gods. It never happened. Yeah, that's that's cargo cult science. I think Richard Feynman also um, did a lecture about cargo cult science. In it, he discusses how in science, with the way information travels, because information and culture travels like mathematically on an epidemiological. It's an epidemiological model. David Amerlin told me that, so shout out to David. Um, so a large chunk of the planet ends up doing something that's no longer working way after it's no longer working. And companies will continue to sell it to you as long as you believe it works. And this is not to say that medicine doesn't work, but there are certain aspects of how things are done that after you've trained a bunch of people to do it a certain way, a large chunk a large chunk of the population is what in Myers Briggs brain types we would call ESTJ. They have like a slower retrieval of short term memory into working memory, and they have lower working memory capacity. And that's not intrinsically bad because everything is all about competitive advantage. So this part of the population is the part that has kept us from going into like chaos because this part of the population doesn't go off every time they see a squirrel to visit the next village. They believe in tradition. They honor the way things were done. They like the past as their model of reality, and as such they don't like to change things. This is your standard conservative mindset. And as much as we like to make fun of conservatives and liberals, at the end of the day, you need both to keep stuff floating. You need one part of your population to keep the tradition. But I say all this to say that when you have a large party population, about 60% that um, most of your managerial type, by the way, like 70% of managerial types are ESTJs, whereas I think the majority of people who build startups are ENTP, like me and Craig. Um, ENTPs are your well, Google it. We actually did a bunch of videos about it. The point is that when you have a part of the population that uh, prefers the past and uses the past as their model for predicting the future and is disinclined to update their model, you end up with cargo cults. You end up with traditions which are good. Like think of them as DNA, whereas ENTPs are like epigenetics. There you go. I think that's it. All right. Break the cage MD.